My name is Ahmed al-Rashid. I'm 34 years old, and I was born into one of the most respected religious families in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. My father is Imam Khalid al-Rashid. If you've ever been to the Grand Mosque in our district, you've heard his voice. Every Friday, thousands gather to hear him speak. His word is law. His presence commands respect. His son, me, was expected to follow in his footsteps. I wore the white thobe with pride. I memorized the Quran before I turned 12. I led prayers at 14. I studied Islamic jurisprudence at the best university in the kingdom. I married a beautiful, devout woman named Lila when I was 23. I had everything a Muslim man could want. But inside, I was dying. I don't know when it started. Maybe it was the day I saw my father turn away a widow begging for help because she wasn't from our district. Maybe it was the night I heard him laugh with other religious leaders about how much money they made from charitable donations. Or maybe it was the first time I opened the Quran and felt absolutely nothing. No peace, no presence, just words. I tried harder. I prayed 5 times a day, sometimes more. I fasted beyond Ramadan. I gave money to the poor. I begged Allah to fill the emptiness inside me. But the silence was deafening. And then the dreams started. At first, it was just a figure in the distance, a man dressed in white, standing in a desert, looking at me. I couldn't see his face, but I could feel his gaze. It was like he knew me, really knew me, not the Imam's son, not the perfect Muslim, but me, the broken, confused, scared man hiding behind a mask. I woke up trembling every time. I told no one, because in Saudi Arabia, you don't question, you don't doubt, and you certainly don't dream about men in white who aren't Muhammad. But the dreams didn't stop, and neither did the questions. I started noticing contradictions in the Quran, things that didn't make sense, historical claims that didn't match reality, verses that seemed convenient for men in power. I tried to push it all down. I smiled at the mosque. I kissed my father's hand. I preached about submission to Allah. But at night, alone in my room, I would stare at the ceiling and whisper a question I was terrified to ask out loud. What if this isn't the truth? If you've ever felt trapped between what you were taught and what your soul is crying out for, if you've ever smiled on the outside while dying on the inside, if you've ever wondered if there's more than ritual, more than fear, more than just going through the motions, then I need you to do something for me. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment your thoughts below, and share this story, because what happened next changed everything, and it might just speak to someone you know who's searching, someone like I was, lost, alone, and desperate for the truth. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was in my father's study, preparing the Friday sermon. He'd asked me to speak on the topic of Iman, faith. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was flipping through the Quran, looking for a verse to build the sermon around, when my eyes landed on Surah 4:157. And they're saying, "Surely we have killed the Messiah, Isa, son of Maryam, the apostle of Allah. And they did not kill him, nor did they crucify him, but it appeared to them so." I froze. I'd read this verse 100 times before, but this time, something broke open inside me. The Quran was claiming that Jesus, Isa, was never crucified, that it was made to appear that way, that someone else died in his place. But I had been reading, secretly, late at night, on my phone with the brightness turned all the way down so Lila wouldn't wake up. I'd watched debates, I'd read articles, I'd even downloaded a Bible app, hidden in a folder labeled Work Documents. And every historian, Muslim, Christian, atheist, agreed on one thing. Jesus of Nazareth was crucified under Pontius Pilate. It was one of the most well-documented events in ancient history. So if the Quran denies something that actually happened, what else was I believing that wasn't true? My hands were shaking. I closed the Quran and shoved it aside. I couldn't preach this, not anymore. But I had no choice. The next few weeks were a blur. I went through the motions. I smiled, I prayed, I led.
But inside, I was unraveling. Lila started noticing. "Ahmed, you're distant," she said one night as we lay in bed. "Is something wrong?" "I'm fine," I lied. "Just tired." She didn't believe me, but she didn't press. My father, on the other hand, was relentless. "You will take over the Friday sermon next month," he announced at dinner one evening. "The council has agreed. It's time." I nodded. I smiled. But that night, I locked myself in the bathroom and wept. I opened my phone. I went to the hidden folder. I opened the Bible app. I didn't even know where to start, so I just scrolled. And then I saw it. John 14:6. Jesus said to him, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." I read it again, and again, and again. I am the way, the truth, the life. I felt something stir deep in my chest, something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. But hope is dangerous in a kingdom built on fear. Because 2 days later, at 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. An unknown number. One message. "I know what you've been searching. Meet me tomorrow at the old coffee shop on King Fahd Road, 9 p.m. Come alone, or I will tell your father." My blood ran cold. Someone knew. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't eat the next day. Lila asked me 3 times if I was okay. I lied 3 times. By 8:30 p.m., I was in my car driving toward King Fahd Road, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would break through my chest. The coffee shop was nearly empty, just a few men smoking shisha in the corner, barely paying attention. I sat down at a table in the back and waited. At exactly 9 p.m., a man walked in, mid-40s, beard, simple clothes. He looked ordinary, but his eyes carried something I recognized: fear and freedom. He sat down across from me without saying a word. "Who are you?" I whispered. "My name is Yusuf," he said quietly. "I used to be like you, Imam's son, memorized the Quran, led prayers, believed every word." I stared at him. "Used to be?" He nodded. "I left Islam 5 years ago." The words hit me like a slap. You're a murtad," I whispered the word like a curse. "Apostate." "I'm a Christian," he said simply. "I follow Jesus Christ, and I know you've been searching for him too." "How do you—" he interrupted. "Because I was you. I had the same questions, the same doubts, the same dreams." I went pale. "Dreams?" He leaned forward, a man in white, standing in the desert, looking at you like he knows everything about you, and you can't look away. I couldn't breathe. "How do you know that?" I whispered. "Because he came to me the same way. Jesus doesn't leave his sheep in the dark, Ahmed. He hunts us down, even in Saudi Arabia." Tears filled my eyes.
"If you continue down this path," Yusuf said, his voice gentle but firm, "you will lose everything. Your family, your reputation, your safety, maybe even your life." He paused. "But if you stop now, you'll lose your soul." I stared at him. "What do I do?" I whispered. "Pray," he said. "Ask Jesus to show you the truth and be ready for the answer." He slid a small book across the table, a pocket-sized Bible. "Hide this, read it, and when you're ready, call me." He stood up and walked out. I sat there, staring at the book, my hands trembling. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Yusuf said. He hunts us down. At 3 a.m., I gave up trying to sleep. I got out of bed, went into the bathroom, locked the door, and sat on the floor. I opened the little Bible, and I prayed. Not to Allah, to Jesus. "If you're real," I whispered, tears streaming down my face, "please, I can't keep living like this." I don't know how long I sat there, but eventually I fell asleep on the cold tile floor. And then I saw him. Not in a desert this time, on a cross. Blood streaming down his face, his hands, his side. He was looking at me, and he spoke. I died for you, Ahmed. Even if the whole world denies it, I did this for you. I tried to speak. I tried to move. But all I could do was weep. Why? I sobbed. Why would you do that for me? And he smiled. Because I love you. I woke up on the bathroom floor, gasping for air, my face soaked with tears. It was 6 a.m. Lila was knocking on the door. Ahmed, are you okay? I opened the door. She took one look at me and stepped back. What happened to you? I couldn't answer because I didn't know how to tell her that I had just met God and his name wasn't Allah. But I didn't have time to figure it out because at 7:15 a.m. my father kicked open the door to my room and in his hand was my phone. The Bible app was open on the screen. I will never forget the look on my father's face. It wasn't anger, it was disgust. Explain this, he said, his voice shaking as he held up my phone. I couldn't speak. Lila stood frozen in the doorway. Explain it, he roared. I was just reading. Reading the book of the kuffar, the book of the Christians in my house? Baba, please, do not call me that, he said, his voice dropping to a deadly whisper. Not until you explain why the son of Imam Khalid al-Rashid has the Injil on his phone. I looked at Lila. She was crying. I've been questioning, I said quietly. The room went silent. My father stared at me like a stranger. Questioning, he repeated slowly. Questioning what? Islam. The word hung in the air like a grenade. My father's face went white, then red. Get dressed, he said coldly. You're coming with me. Within an hour, I was sitting in our family majlis, the formal sitting room, surrounded by my uncles, cousins, and 3 other imams from the district. They interrogated me for 4 hours. Have you renounced Islam? No. Do you believe Muhammad is the final prophet? I don't know. Do you believe in the Quran? Silence. Answer. I don't know anymore, I shouted. I don't know anymore. My mother was sobbing in the corner. Lila sat next to her, staring at the floor. My father stood. You have 48 hours, he said, his voice like ice. You will publicly repent at the mosque on Friday. You will renounce whatever poison has entered your mind. You will recite the Shahada in front of the entire congregation. He leaned down, his face inches from mine. You are no longer my son. He straightened. You are no longer a Muslim. He paused. And in this kingdom, you know what that means. Apostasy. Execution. They locked me in my room, took my phone.
Posted a guard outside my door. I was a prisoner in my own home. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall, my mind racing. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I thought about Yusuf's words. You will lose everything. I thought about my father's face. You are dead to us. I thought about the dream. I died for you, Ahmed. And then I remembered. The little Bible. I had hidden it in my bag, the one I carried to the mosque. I dove for it, unzipped the front pocket, and pulled it out. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I opened it, and it fell open to a page. My eyes landed on a verse, Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. I read it again and again. Tears poured down my face. Fear not, for I am with you. I closed my eyes. Jesus, I whispered, I don't know what to do, but if you're real, I need you. Please, help me. I sat there in the silence. And then, a knock on the door. Soft, hesitant. Ahmed? It was a voice I knew. My younger brother, Kareem. Ahmed, it's me. Open the door. It's locked, I said. I heard the sound of a key turning. The door opened. Kareem slipped inside and locked it behind him. He was pale, shaking. What's wrong? I asked. He looked at me, his eyes wide with fear. The man in white, Kareem whispered. I've been seeing him for weeks. I've been too scared to tell anyone. He stepped closer. But last night, he spoke to me. What did he say? Kareem's voice broke. He said, "Your brother is not crazy. He found me, and I'm calling you too." I stared at my little brother, 26 years old, soon to be engaged, being groomed to take a position in the mosque. And I saw it. The same hunger, the same fear, the same hope. "Kareem," I whispered, "I think he's Jesus." My brother nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I know." And in that moment, I realized something. I wasn't alone. Kareem and I talked for hours that night. We whispered, we cried, we prayed. Awkward, stumbling prayers to a God we barely knew, but desperately needed. And then, Kareem told me something that made my blood run cold. "Ahmed, Baba didn't just lock you in here." "What do you mean?" Kareem's voice dropped to a whisper. "He reported you." "Reported me? To who?" "To the committee. The Committee for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice. The religious police. They're opening an apostasy investigation," Kareem said, his voice shaking. "I heard him on the phone this morning. He told them you've been reading Christian materials, that you've been meeting with a murtad, that you've been..." He trailed off. "That I've been what?" "That you've been praying to Isa. My father had signed my death warrant." "You have to leave," Kareem said urgently. "Now." "How? The door is guarded. They took my phone, my car keys." "I have a key to the back gate, and I have money. Not much, but enough to get you to the border." "To the border?" "Jordan," he said. "There are people there who help, people like us." I stared at him. "Kareem, if they find out you helped me, then they'll kill me too," he said simply. "But I'd rather die helping my brother follow the truth than live helping my father cover it up." At 2 a.m., we made our move. Kareem distracted the guard with some excuse about needing medicine for our mother. I slipped out through the back corridor, my heart pounding so loud I was sure someone would hear it. We made it to the back gate. Kareem unlocked it, and then a voice. "Where do you think you're going?" We froze. I turned. It was Layla. She was standing in the shadows, wrapped in her abaya, her face pale.
"Lila? I heard everything," she whispered. My heart sank. "Please," I begged, "please don't..." She stepped forward and held out her hand. In it was a small bag. "There's money in here, enough to get you across the border, and a SIM card. It's not registered to anyone. Use it to call for help." I stared at her, stunned. "Lila, why?" Tears streamed down her face. "Because I love you," she whispered. "And I can't watch them kill you. Come with me," I said desperately. "Please, we can leave together." "I can't," she sobbed. I'm not strong enough. Not yet." She pressed the bag into my hands. "But if your Jesus is real, Ahmed, pray for me. Please." I pulled her into my arms. "I will," I whispered. "Every day. I promise." She pulled away, wiped her tears, and looked at Kareem. "Take care of him." "I will." She turned and walked back into the house, and I knew I might never see her again. Kareem and I ran. We got into his car and drove toward the Jordan border, a 6-hour journey. We made it 3 hours, and then, blue lights. "Police." "Pull over," the officer's voice crackled over the loudspeaker. Kareem's hands were shaking on the wheel. "It's over," he whispered. "No," I said. "Keep driving! Ahmed, keep driving!" But Kareem pulled over. 2 officers approached the car. I closed my eyes. "Jesus, if you're real, please." The officer knocked on the window. Kareem rolled it down. The officer leaned in, shining his flashlight on both of us. And then, he spoke. In English. "You are Ahmed al-Rashid?" I couldn't speak. I just nodded. The officer looked at me for a long moment. And then he said something I will never forget. "I am Christian, from Philippines. I work here 6 years." He glanced at his partner, who was standing by the patrol car, distracted by his phone. "Someone prayed for you tonight. I don't know who, but I was praying before shift, and God told me, 'You will meet my son tonight. Let him go.'" Tears filled my eyes.
You're letting us go? He nodded. Drive to Jordan border. Fast. Don't stop. God is with you. He stepped back. Go. Now. Kareem didn't wait. He hit the gas, and as we drove away, I looked back and saw the officer standing in the middle of the road, his hand raised in a wave. An angel in a police uniform, sent by God to save my life. The sun was beginning to rise as we approached the Jordan border. I could see the checkpoint in the distance. We're going to make it, Kareem whispered. But as we pulled up to the gate, I saw him, my father, standing next to two border officials, waiting. No, I breathed. No, no, no! How did he? Kareem started. He knew, I said bitterly. He knew we'd come here. The officials waved us forward. We had no choice. Kareem parked the car. We got out. My father stood there, his arms crossed, his face a mask of stone. Ahmed, one of the officials said, come with us. They led me into a small office. My father followed. The door closed behind us. For a long moment, no one spoke. And then, my father broke. Why? He whispered, his voice cracking. Why are you doing this to me? I'm not doing this to you, Baba. I'm doing it for me. For you? He shouted. You're throwing away everything. Your family, your name, your future. I'm throwing away a lie, I said quietly. He stared at me. You will go to hell, he said, his voice shaking. You will burn for eternity, and I will have to stand before Allah and answer for my failure as a father. Tears filled my eyes. I don't believe that anymore, Baba.
Then what do you believe? He roared. I took a breath. I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. I believe he died on a cross for my sins. I believe he rose from the dead, and I believe he's the only way to the Father. My father's face went white. You are not my son. I will always be your son, I said, my voice breaking, but I can't be your puppet anymore. He stepped forward, his face inches from mine. If you walk out that door, he said slowly, you will destroy this family. Our name will be ruined. Your mother will die of shame, and I will never forgive you. I looked into his eyes, the eyes of the man who taught me to pray, who carried me on his shoulders, who I once thought was the greatest man in the world. And I said the hardest words I've ever spoken. I'm sorry, Baba, but I'd rather die free in Christ than live enslaved to fear. His hand shot out, and he slapped me across the face, hard. I stumbled back, my cheek burning. He stood there, breathing hard, his eyes filled with rage and something else, grief. You are dead to me, he whispered, and he walked out. I stood there, my face stinging, my heart shattered, but also free. One of the officials stepped forward. We should detain you, he said quietly. I nodded. I know. He looked at me for a long moment, and then he sighed. But I won't. I stared at him. Why? He glanced at the door. Because I saw what just happened, he said, and I've seen a lot of things in this job, but I've never seen a son stand up to his father like that, over religion, over belief. He paused. Whatever you're following, it must be real. He stamped my exit papers. Go before I change my mind. I walked out of that office in a daze. Kareem was waiting by the car. What happened? He asked. We're free, I whispered. We crossed the border into Jordan at 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. And as we drove away, my phone, the SIM card Lila gave me, buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I opened it, and my breath caught. Welcome home, son. I've been waiting for you. Jesus. I stared at the screen, tears streaming down my face. Kareem looked over. Who is it? I showed him. He went pale. Is that real? I didn't know. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe someone from the underground network was encouraging me. Or maybe Jesus really does send messages. I don't know, but I chose to believe. We arrived at the safe house 3 days later.
It was a small apartment in Amman, run by a network of ex-Muslim Christians who help people like us, refugees, apostates, people running for their lives. There were 12 of us in that apartment, some from Saudi Arabia, some from Iran, some from Pakistan. All of us had the same story. We met Jesus and we lost everything, but we also gained everything. On my 5th day there, I was baptized. It was in a bathtub because we couldn't risk going to a public church. An Egyptian pastor named Michael performed the ceremony. Kareem was baptized right after me. As I came up out of the water, gasping and laughing and crying all at once, I felt something I had never felt in 34 years of praying to Allah. I felt clean, like every lie, every fear, every chain had been washed away. And I heard a voice, not audible, but so clear it might as well have been, "You are mine, and I will never let you go." I wept like a child. The next few months were hard. We lived in hiding. We had no jobs, no status, no future, but we had each other, and we had Jesus. I started reading the Bible every day, really reading it, not just skimming for information, and I realized something. The man I saw in my dreams, the man on the cross, he was in every page. He was the Passover lamb in Exodus. He was the suffering servant in Isaiah. He was the good shepherd in the Psalms. He was the Word made flesh in John. He wasn't just a prophet, he was the point, and I had spent my entire life missing him. One night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Lila, about my mother, about my father.
About all the people still trapped in the same prison I escaped from. And I felt God whisper to my heart, "Tell them." So I did. I started recording my testimony. Just me, sitting in front of a phone camera, telling my story. I posted it online, and within a week, I got messages, dozens of them, from people in Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, in Indonesia, in the UK, all saying the same thing. I thought I was the only one. I've been having the same dreams. I'm so scared, but I want to know more. And I realized something. I'm not just a refugee. I'm a messenger. And my message is simple. Jesus is real. He loves you. And he's worth it. 6 months after I crossed the border, I received a letter. It was forwarded through the network, passed from hand to hand until it reached me. The handwriting was elegant, feminine. I opened it, and my hand started shaking. It was from Layla. "Ahmed, I don't know if you'll ever get this. I don't even know if you're alive. But I need you to know something. I can't stop thinking about what you said, about Jesus, about the truth. I left Saudi Arabia 2 weeks ago. I'm in Turkey now. I told my family I was visiting my cousin, but really, I'm looking for what you found. I want to know more about him. I want to know if he loves me the way you said he loves you. Please, if you get this, pray for me. Layla." I read it 3 times, and then I fell to my knees and wept. "Thank you," I sobbed. "Thank you, Jesus. You're not done. You're not done." I wrote back immediately. I told her about the safe house, about the network, about the churches that meet in secret. I told her that Jesus was waiting for her, and that I was praying every single day. 2 months later, I got another message. She had found a church in Istanbul. She had started reading the Bible, and she had prayed. She wasn't ready to be baptized yet, but she was close. And I knew that God was going to finish what he started, because that's who he is. He doesn't give up. He doesn't leave. He doesn't abandon. He pursues. He rescues. He redeems. Even in Saudi Arabia, even in the darkest places, even when it costs everything. I still think about my father sometimes. I wonder if he ever thinks about me. I wonder if he regrets what he said. I wonder if, somewhere deep down, he knows I was telling the truth. I pray for him every day, because I know the same Jesus who saved me can save him too. I lost my father, my country, my reputation, my security, but I gained a father who will never leave me. a kingdom that cannot be shaken, a peace that surpasses all understanding, and a family, a global family of believers who would die for each other. I still have the little Bible Yusuf gave me. I still have the verse that saved my life, Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with you. And whenever I'm scared, whenever I doubt, whenever I wonder if I made the right choice, I open that Bible and I remember. Jesus didn't just call me, he died for me, and he rose again so that I could be free. If you're watching this and you're searching, if you've been having dreams, if you've been asking questions, if you've been feeling that pull towards something or someone you can't explain, don't ignore it. That's Jesus. He's calling you, and he won't stop until you answer. It will cost you everything, but he is worth it. I promise. Subscribe to this channel, share this story, comment below if this resonated with you, because there are millions of Ahmeds still in the dark, still trapped, still scared, still searching, and Jesus is calling them home, one testimony at a time.